If that makes it into the podcast, I don't know what kind of show we're running, but...
Education and resources to the trans community. Hello and welcome to Transgender Zone. All right, welcome, listener, to the first ever episode of the TZone Podcast. TZone is a first-of-its-kind premium service providing community education and resources to the trans community.
And I think if anyone's watched our videos on YouTube, I think I have to say, hello. I think that's the only way to start it. But we're so excited to be doing this. I mean, this is the first of many TZone podcasts where we're going to be talking about trans topics. In all sorts of ways. Today, we're going to be talking about dysphoria and euphoria and a little bit about what TZone is. But we got a lot of topics that we got a lot
to talk about. We have some future guests coming. We have maybe some Rue girls in the works. We'll see.
We'll see. We will most certainly see. So, yeah, I mean, first, let's talk about TZone. I mean, this is really exciting. Like, as you're listening to this, TZone is live. TZone is kind of really a first of its kind premium subscription service. Mm-hmm. So, because you've had to look at these resources since you were young, there are a lot of free resources out there, but there aren't any resources that are like really well designed with a team of professionals.
For me, it was so hard to find information that was up to date, and the surgeon is alive and practicing.
Yeah, and I think one of the really important features to talk about, you were saying that some surgeons are out of practice or they're dead or this. We have the biggest resource database ever created for trans affirming care of any kind and trans affirming trans supportive services in your community.
Whether you're in Nebraska or the Netherlands, you can get the care that you need.
Yes, it's extremely important to us that it doesn't matter if you live in a small town or a big city, you can find a gender-affirming healthcare provider or a surgeon. And I mean, hey, if you want to go and find somebody who's the best surgeon in the world in a specific procedure, you can find that too on TZone.
Right. And the online community is so important. As someone that transitioned in a small town, I had no one to look to. I transitioned over 10 years ago. Listener, we actually went to school together.
We went to the same high school.
Which is kind of insane.
Yeah.
And I mean, that in a small town, word spreads, and it definitely...
Victoria was the talk of the town at our school. It was a school where it was abnormal to come out as gay or lesbian. Right. I mean, there were 2 gay kids maybe in the entire school.
At all, at least
out. Right. In the whole school, in every grade in the high school. At least, that's a whole separate topic that we could talk about another time.
Topic, baby.
But Victoria came out as trans in her freshman year.
Yeah.
And so I was 1 grade above Victoria. And for the 3 years that I was in high school, she was a hot topic. I mean, most people had never even heard about what being transgender was. And so it wasn't even just the first trans person I've ever met. It's I don't even know what she's doing. Yeah, can she do this?
This was before Laverne Cox on the cover of Times. This was before Caitlyn Jenner and people becoming familiar with it. It was definitely a little ostracizing. And we grew up in a small town. I mean, our school was in the middle of a turf field. So online resources, online communities were really my lifeline. That's actually why I created my channel in the first place, Victoria Rose, because I wanted to provide something to the community that I got myself. I would leave my closed-minded school and then go open up my laptop or go on the home computer and watch YouTube videos of Gigi Gorgeous or of Julie Vu or something. And I would know that there are other people out there like me, that I'm not a freak in a sea of whatever. And that's why I created my channel, because I really wanted my viewers and now our listeners to feel like we're friends. And we are, it's a small community, and it's really important now more than ever that we all come together and really stand up for one another.
Absolutely. And one of the things about TZone that's so important is that it's a private gated community. So you can only get to our community forums if you are trans, and we go through an application process to make sure that you are transgender to get into the forums. It's a community by the trans community for the trans community. And so, especially in a time right now where, I was talking to one of our partners, and if you would know her, as either Micah or Trans Vocal. Mm-hmm. She's going to be one of the partners on the site. And she was talking about how she was on TikTok Live, and there were 75 people in there putting comments about how awful she was. She shouldn't be doing this. They were reporting her, so her content got taken down. And it's one of those things where now more than ever, especially when trans legislation is really, really stepping up its game, anti-trans legislation, there needs to be a place where people can just like, teach feminizing makeup and teach vocal coaching without somebody jumping in and saying slurs or, trying to dox someone or take them off it's not safe in public spaces online anymore. And so to have a genuine protected community is extremely important, especially when you're talking about sensitive topics.
And not even just haters, which obviously that is maybe the worst thing, but also chasers. I've seen so many people who are just trying to get carried. Even in the comments of my YouTube videos, there would be someone commenting like, wow, thanks for the content. I really love, X, Y, and Z about your videos. And then someone would be responding to that comment or in my comments being like, I want a trans girlfriend. I want a trans wife. Someone please, I need a dom. Like, it's actually insane.
When we put up our apply to like get our newsletter when we first launched the early stage website, 3 of the 7 people that put their name in there said, I'm looking for a trans girlfriend. Not a joke. And that's the thing. It's like, it's such a creepy sort of person, but they find you online. And it's just like, let's find a place where they can't show up.
It's actually crazy. Our next episode is all about finding love and intimacy in relationships as a trans person. And that is one of the things that while it's hard to, we're told that it'll be hard to find someone to love you or hard to find someone to date.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find a chaser, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, they are lurking at every corner, lurking around every alley. They will find you. So we really wanted to make sure that TZone was a safe place for trans folks to be able to gather and communicate with each other and learn from our master classes, from our resources, and from each other.
Yeah, and so the way that TZone works is it's a learning management system and a community forum all in one, and a place where you can host live events, which is an added bonus. But the idea is that we have courses on every part of transition. So whether you're deciding whether or not you want to transition, living pre-op and trying to make gender-affirming techniques a part of your daily life, or, planning on getting surgery and what it would take to get it. And there are forums that correspond with all of that. So you can go onto a forum that's a gender surgery support forum and talk to other people that have either gone through those surgeries or thinking about going through those surgeries and build real community around really crucial topics on transitioning. So one of the other things that's really great about TZone is that we're giving discounts back to trans folks.
Right.
So we're connecting with brands. There's a lot of anybody who has bought a trans product online knows that they can get really expensive because they're niche. It's not like, it's a cotton t-shirt and they made 10 million and it's easy to sell. It's like, if you're getting something like a stand to pee device as a trans man, if you want a nice one, it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And so we are building connections and we'll continue to build connections as much as we possibly can with companies like Emisil that make one of the best STP, stand-to-pee packing devices on the market, and giving discounts all the way up to like $50 off a product that costs $300. And, our membership fee is $5, but by paying that fee, you get access to huge discounts. And I think it matters so much to make sure that the trans community can afford products a little bit easier.
Yes.
Because, to have a stand-to-pee device for a trans man is life-changing.
Yeah.
It's life-changing.
It is.
And so affirming. And like to say, oh, I don't have the money to buy a nice one. And so you have to kind of get one that isn't as nice, and then you don't feel as good about it, doesn't feel as comfortable. It's a huge deal. With TZone Live now, we built a new app for it, but there has been an online forum since 1998 called Transgender Zone. We asked the community on the old platform before we transitioned over. We asked them to share with us some ideas and things that they wanted to talk about around gender dysphoria and gender euphoria, which are very important topics. Right. And we got some great responses. But before I read some of the user comments, Victoria, would you want to tell us a little bit about, what is gender dysphoria?
Well, I'd love to, Chris. So
and then that felt kind of formal. It felt really formal.
So gender dysphoria is the misalignment between one's sex assigned at birth and their gender identity. So, for example, if you are a trans woman, maybe you were born male and you identify as female. And that feeling that you experience when you're looking at your male body and thinking, why does that not look like how I feel on the inside? That feeling is gender dysphoria.
I know that dysphoria is not easy for you. I've seen you in states of dysphoria or when you're having moments where you feel dysphoric. And so can you share a little bit about how it's like, it's not easy?
Dysphoria is never easy to deal with. I mean, I'm 10 plus years in my transition and I still grapple with it every single day. That might sound discouraging to some, but trust me, it gets better. I mean, even today when I was getting ready for this podcast, like I was doing my makeup and just thinking to myself, gosh, like I wish I could tweak my face and look like this. I wish that I could wear this and look different. It creeps its way into not just your everyday insecurity, but it's an additional layer to the insecurity that we all have.
One of the things too to remember is that, being trans is something you go to a therapist that is trained in gender dysphoria for a reason, in the same way that any sort of thing like anxiety or depression is something you just get better at dealing with over time and learning how to cope with it. It's not something that necessarily goes away, but with close friends, close family, makes it easier. At least I hope.
Well, thankfully, on the other end of things, though, there's gender euphoria. And that's what I really like to focus on. And that is the opposite of that. And that would be the alignment of your physical body and your gender identity. So times when you feel the most authentically you. One of those for me is definitely our wedding. I know, it's kind of a cliche, but little girls, that actually right up there is our wedding photo.
I brought a wedding picture.
It's a cliche that every little girl dreams of her wedding one day, but I really did. And living that out, it was just everything that I could have wanted and more. I just felt like a princess, and having people see me as a bride and living that truth was very, very affirming for me.
It was the beautiful white dress. I mean, just the elegant, beautiful white dress, walking down the aisle, it really was so special. It was the garter removal.
Hey, that was
spicy.
Crazy. He thought that he was.
I made a mistake.
Both off. So he was taking off the garters with his teeth, and
as is standard,
and
as is normal.
I had two, which you're supposed to have one that they take off, and then one that you keep on for later. But he took both off.
I thought I was supposed to take both of them off, and so I was down there for a while.
And all our family was like, "So what's going on?"
Yeah, what is he doing down there? And she was getting so embarrassed because I'm down there. I couldn't see what was going on, but I saw pictures afterwards of it, and just her face of she was giggling and embarrassed.
Oh my God. That's another moment of gender euphoria, folks.
Yeah, there we go.
Another for me, in a similar vein, would be after getting surgeries, like after getting top surgery or bottom surgery, being able to look at myself in the mirror. That feeling of gender euphoria is absolutely insane. I lived so much of my life avoiding mirrors and not looking at myself nude and being so afraid of my own body and just so uncomfortable that when I was able to, whether it was having a little moment of euphoria where I had a mother-daughter day at the nail salon or something, or if it was something huge like getting bottom surgery, those are the moments that make it worth it. And, it's so easy to focus on the dysphoria, and it can feel all encompassing and you'll never escape it. But it's just something that you live with as a trans person, and you have to find the moments of sunshine in the darkness.
Absolutely. And that's one of the goals on building TZone is to make it easier for folks to find moments of euphoria by either finding the right surgical transition opportunities, to gender affirming techniques like feminine behavior, masculine behavior, and just kind of working your way into that space comfortably.
Right.
It's important.
Yeah. Some days you wake up when you're dysphoric and you just want to put a bag over your head. You just want to wear.
I can vouch for that. There are some days where it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Where Victoria wakes up and it's just a no. And I think as a partner, it's not something that I can fix, but I can do my best to, all of the time, make sure I let her know when I think she's beautiful, I say she's beautiful. Yeah. I think it's important for folks to help out as much as they can, but you're never going to fix. I'm not going to fix her.
Right. The goal isn't to fix. And that's also with surgeries and hormones, that the goal isn't to be, while you want to get as close as possible, the goal isn't to be perfect. It's not to never have any negative feelings about your body or your gender. It's to work with it, to live with it, and to ease that sort of feeling. So when I'm feeling really dysphoric, sometimes you will just completely change the situation and will.
I bring her to Target.
Yes.
The show is not sponsored by Target, but it's nice to look around.
It really is.
I bring her out and do that. But I think it's good if you're sitting on the couch thinking, no matter what you're thinking about and stressing about, it's good to get out.
Right.
And so it's nice, especially if you're the partner of somebody who is going through a situation like that. It's so much easier to feel better when you're like pulled out of the house, you're looking at stuff, you're moving around.
And it's hard. I really value my trans friendships because when you're telling someone about your dysphoria, they can sort of see it like a normal insecurity. Like say you say to your friend, like, oh, my hair looks so bad today, or like my skin looks so bad today. And they're like, girl, you look the same, like you're fine. And move on. It's different because when you talk to your trans friends, they understand that it's not just a run of the mill thing. It's not like, girl, you're fine, whatever. It's deeper than that. So it's easy for someone on the outside that isn't trans to say like, girl, you look amazing. What are you talking about? Like, you look more feminine than I do. And I'm a cis woman. I've heard that before. And it's like, okay, that doesn't help me. Like, cause I still feel this way. So something I actually really think about a lot and that I notice you do so beautifully well is in Parks and Rec, if anyone's a fan. When Anne is pregnant, she's like complaining about her pain and being uncomfortable. And Chris, her husband, is trying to, or her baby daddy, I guess, is always trying to fix every problem and give her solutions. And it's sweet and it's well-meaning, but sometimes you just need to say, that sucks. I'm
going to speak directly to the men that are listening to this. Your job isn't to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
It's not a puzzle. It is a chance to vent.
Yes.
You can just say that sucks and that's bad. And you know what you could do? You could be like, do you want any help solving it?
Yes.
And then they could say no or whatever. It like sometimes
like,
you can be helpful.
You know?
Yeah. Like, is there any way that I can help? And then they might let you know instead of going, well, you know what? She's a, and you're not this and blah, blah, blah. Like trying to really like push them to change their mind.
Right.
That's not your job. It's unsolicited advice, really. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at some of the comments that were made by some of our users on TZone, and we're going to get Victoria's advice on those and kind of go back and forth. So to start, we're going to go into how feminine fashion can sometimes exacerbate or make worse dysphoria. So one of our members, Brianna, wrote, one of my biggest sources of gender dysphoria tends to root from fashion. I'm a tall person with size 15 feet in women's, which is a size 13 in men's, and I'm also 6'2". I have no problem finding clothes that fit me well at all, but when it comes down to shoes, it can be pretty difficult to find shoes that are both my size and that fit in with the kind of look that I'm going for. I know that there are available resources out there for tall femmes like myself, but my biggest concern is if it's worth it for me to even wear shoes like that, those type of shoes, since height is something I'm insecure about, and I wouldn't want to bring more attention that I already receive based on the fact that I'm tall by wearing something that only adds more to my height.
That is so real, girl. That is so real. The amount of times I'll see a beautiful trans woman wearing the cutest pair of heels, and I'm like, girl, I wish I could wear that, but I would tower over everybody. I totally understand the feeling of wanting to wear heels, but they're make you look too tall, or trying to find shoes in person in stores and not being able to find them. That's something, I've dealt quite a bit with.
Yes, correct. If you've seen any of our wedding pictures, you might notice I'm a little taller than I normally am. It's because I wore lifts in my shoes. Yes. Victoria really wanted to wear heels.
I had this really beautiful pair of just Steve Madden bedazzled heels. They were so beautiful. And with the dress, I just had to wear heels with it. But he's taller than me naturally, but with 5-inch heels, I was a little taller than him. And I was really kind of bugging about that. I didn't want all of our photos of us at the altar, me towering over him. And that was really giving me a lot of dysphoria.
We should have tested the lifts, though. We really should have tested the lifts before. We were just like, any lifts will do. And then I put them in my shoes and I realized my feet don't fit in with them. So I had to take the foam padding on the bottom that had all the spikes on it that goes into the thing. I had to put that in my shoe and just stand on it.
So he was getting acupressure.
It was acupressure. Yeah. By the time I was done, my feet were exhausted. But I mean, the thing is, though, like you've said to me many times before, like sometimes you just got to suck it up and just live your life. And like, who cares if somebody thinks you're tall or someone thinks you're this? Like,
on that note, like when it comes to shopping for shoes, that definitely gives me anxiety and dysphoria no matter what kind of shoe I'm buying, because I'm a size 11 and even I can't find my shoes in stores. Like I feel like most stores when you go to look for shoes go up to like an 8. And that's not that, like, there are so many people.
People's feet are not that small. Women's feet are not that small.
I mean, 8, like I think 8 is like the national average or something. But it's like, what about someone that's like a size 10? Like I'm an 11, and I can still hardly ever find shoes in person. So I get that definitely gives you some dysphoria, some anxiety. But in the question you said, is it worth it to get those kinds of shoes at all? And I'm assuming that you're talking about getting those heels. And on one hand, heels aren't the only feminine shoe that you can rock. You can always wear some ballet flats. You can wear a cute pair of like slides or sandals. Mary Janes are super cute. I love Mary Janes, and they're like flat ones. You can definitely find ones in your size, whether it's on Amazon or somewhere online. But when it comes to heels, I did not wear heels for the longest time because I am pretty tall. I mean, I'm 5'9", 5'9.5", and all my friends are very short, and so I just always tower over them anyway.
You do have short friends. That's real.
Yes, everyone around me is very short. Yeah, and so I would just tower over them. So even if they were all wearing heels on a night out and I was wearing flats, I was still taller than them. So I get what you mean. You don't want to draw more attention to yourself, but something that's helped me is, it's easy to just say, like, don't care what people think. But, like, as a trans person, part of that is
a little unrealistic.
Right. Yeah. Unrealistic. And it's also sometimes for safety. But
True.
Something that's helped me is to look at models and look at models' heights, because on stage they look beautiful and whatever. But then you see their height and they're like 6'2".
They're really
6'3",
tall.
6'6" sometimes. And it's like, if she can walk out into, if she can just go to get dinner wearing 6-inch heels and she's 7 feet tall, like, sure, she doesn't have the added burden of being transgender and having to worry about that. But like, if she's looking that glamorous, you can too. Like I'm currently wearing some heels right now, and I would never normally have felt comfortable until I felt comfortable in my own self.
Yeah. I think you've mentioned to me before going for stunning rather than like, you can wear big heels, look stunning, and just go for like the extreme feminine, just like beautiful look.
Statuesque, Amazonian, like be a gorgeous Amazon. Your life opens up so much when you're not worried about looking trans. And of course, I keep saying it's easy to say that, but I spent so long trying to just blend in and not doing certain makeup looks or not wearing certain clothes. I was like, well, I'm going to look really trans if I do that. And I don't want to look trans, even though I wanted to wear it. Like, so girl, just wear it. And so if you're going to tower over everyone in the restaurant, that's stunning. They're going to see you and be like, oh my God, that is a tall woman. That doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. People just look at people and they're probably going to look. If you're 7 feet tall, they're probably going to be like, oh my God, own it.
Yeah.
Own it. Be like, girl, yes, I am towering over everybody and I am killing it.
All right. So we had a bunch of other comments. And so let's dive into another one here. We had a comment from one of our moderators, Ebony, that writes, I get dysphoria from all angles, face and body especially.
Real.
I sometimes obsess over passing, and I really feel how my dysphoria is greatly agitated when I compare myself to others, specifically beautiful young trans celebrities, or especially models. We were just talking about models. I feel that by being an older trans woman, still relatively early in my transition, 2 years, I'm always super conscious of all of my flaws and all the ways I don't look like those young girls, and have the habit of using that as self-criticism against my own worthiness of being female. But what we see in the media is only the other side of transition, never that middle point, leaving out the truth of transition being a long, slow process with many meaningful struggles in between.
Yeah. A quote that I love is comparison is the thief of joy. And I think about that a lot, despite the fact that I also constantly compare myself because not only am I trans, I'm also just a girl. Like I'm also just a woman that I go on Instagram and everyone's photoshopped and face-tuned and pumped and surged and gorgeous. And then I look at myself and I look normal. And, so I get it. The comparison is the thief of joy. It can get really discouraging to see to see trans folks in the media, because the ones that we're seeing, Ebony, you're so right that the ones that we're seeing are the ones that have the money and the privilege to be able to get so many things done at once.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the other comments that we got, and that brings to another comment that Brianna wrote, is that a source of dysphoria for me is when people who aren't even trans compare me to other trans women who are obviously privileged enough financially to pass and assimilate because they can get all of the surgeries that they want.
That would be the day that a cis person tries to compare me to a trans person. Oh my God. I'd be like, you would look really good if you just changed everything about your bone structure. Oh my gosh.
Stay in your lane.
Yes, seriously.
Stay in your lane.
I transitioned actually like almost exactly at the time that Gigi Gorgeous came out as being trans. And I remember seeing, it was like maybe 2 months after she came out as being trans, that she then posted my favorite, I talk about this all the time, my favorite Gigi Gorgeous video where she's like, my new look. And she goes, I parted my hair differently and I got a tan and I changed my makeup. And everyone was like, you look a lot different. And
full FFS.
The next video, she's like, so I did get everything from my hairline down to my Adam's apple completely changed. Which honestly is so iconic. I love that she was like, I tanned and I parted my hair in the middle. And then she was like, no, I actually changed everything about my bone structure. Another great example, a little more modern, would be Dylan Mulvaney, who transitioned was, I think it was like by day 100 or something of being a girl, which is her series. She was able to get full FFS and change her complete face. And within a year, she looked so passable and like just totally different. And that's amazing and good for her. And I'm glad, I'm jealous. Like I wish that I could have done that too. The girls nowadays transition overnight. Like it's so crazy how fast some of the girls transition. In particular, the wealthy girls, the girls that are in the spotlight. I think the reason why we see the end point, often the very beginning or the very end of a transition in the media, whether it's someone that like, maybe it's a male actor that's playing a trans person and they're like, I want to change my, you know what I mean? Like, what is it? Jeffrey Tambor from Transparent or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't mess with Jeffrey Tambor anymore, but
we didn't. I don't even think we watched the show to begin with.
I did, but whether it's a male actor playing a trans woman just like crying about being trans, or then it's the other end and it's Trace Lysette looking beautiful and gorgeous and completely cis and passable.
And like you said, Laverne Cox on the cover of Time, like
exactly.
Yeah,
like we don't often see the middle part of that, and that's really a big part of the trans experience. I think the reason why we don't see that middle part is because the doors are only now starting to open for trans folks in the media. It's more digestible to the general public for them to see a trans person that looks exactly like what they would expect a woman or a man to look, that they still fit into this binary idea. They still fit into this clean the status quo. They like things to remain the same. And so they want similarity. They might feel uncomfortable to see a trans person in the middle of their transition. And, while this is slowly making the world a better place for trans folks and making people feel more comfortable with trans folks, that's not all trans folks.
So we're going to move on to another question that was asked by Jocelyn. And this is around how you see yourself versus how others see you. So Jocelyn wrote, I'm interested in exploring what is most integral in someone's transition. Self-concept or outside affirmation, how you see yourself or how others see you. How we see ourselves doesn't necessarily affect how others might view us, but passing definitely helps solidify one's self-concept?
That's a really interesting thing to ponder in your transition. And I think very useful thing to ponder in your transition. Because it's kind of like chicken or the egg, where it's like, on one hand, confidence helps you pass. And on the other hand, you might need to pass to feel confident.
Yeah.
And so it can be a little bit of like a catch-22. So which one is more important? I think that comes down to you personally, because at the end of the day, self-perception is going to be the most important. For example, not wearing heels because you don't want to take up the space.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't want people to see you and be like, oh, that's a really tall person, but you feel really comfortable in the heels. Wear the heels. If you like how it looks, or if you don't want to get your face done or your chest done or bottom surgery or something, but you think that other people would feel more comfortable looking at you that way, that's not a good reason to get a permanent change to your body. And it's not a good reason to change anything about your life.
I've heard a million times the fake it till you make it sort of thing. And the idea of like, I am going to lean in 100% to how I feel. And people can choose to see it differently if they want to, but that's not how I feel.
Yes. Fake it till you make it is, I just live by fake it till you make it, because there are a lot of days where I still don't feel confident, and you just have to put on a fake smile and just go out there anyway. The confidence slowly builds as you exude that. When I was in my small town high school, I would listen to a confidence playlist on my headphones every single day on the way to school, and like walking in between classes. I would have my little AirPods. Well, at the time, I wired headphones in, and I would just strut down the hallway, because that was just the only way, even if I felt like I looked so ugly and so masculine in that moment. And even if people in the school were actively calling me names.
Yeah, you can't tell me anything.
I
Go ahead,
had
try
my
it. I
head
dare
up
you.
high. And when you hold such high respect for yourself, that is something that other people pick up on.
Yeah, I think confidence shows in the way that you stand, the way that you walk, the way that you talk. And so showing up confident matters.
Yeah, it does.
It matters a lot.
I think something that is so underrated when it comes to passing is confidence, and at least faking it till you make it. Because if you're walking around, whether you're trans or not, if you're, say you have a bad hair day, or like you're breaking out or something and you want to hide your face, if you're walking around that whole day and you're like, everyone knows that I have acne, and everyone knows that my hair is messy, and I'm just, and you're maybe hiding your face a lot, people are going to be like, what do you do? Actually, a great example would be, let's say you're self-conscious about your smile, and every time that you're laughing or smiling, you cover your mouth because you're self-conscious. I see people do that all the time. I did that when I had braces. I have done it in the past because I had really bad teeth for a while. That's going to draw more attention than if someone just happens to see that you have crooked teeth versus you constantly hiding it. They're going to be like, what is she so self-conscious about? And that is what might draw some attention to you and have people think like, is it this? Oh, it's because she's trans.
Yeah. If you don't care, other people probably won't care. But if you're caring and putting a bunch of attention to it, everybody else is going to put attention to it. So it sounds to me like self-concept is, you got to have at least a little bit of self-concept before you can get outside affirmation. And then you kind of use the outside affirmation to build a little more self-concept and kind of.
Yes. And it's okay to get to want outside affirmation as well. Like, it's okay to want people to think that you're attractive or feminine or masculine or whatever it is.
You can't guarantee that.
But that can't be your only source of reassurance. It has to come from within.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on to our last comment from a community member. And I mean, this one is extremely relevant. We were just talking earlier about like TikTok lives being flooded by people that have hate comments and whatever. And you're a YouTuber and you know this very, very well. Eve wants to learn more about how to deal with hate, both online and in person.
Eve, you're asking the right questions. It's a skill. Dealing with hate is a skill. It also comes down to your own self-confidence, like we were just talking about. If you have that self-concept that like, I am a woman and I'm feminine no matter what anybody tells me, then you can't be knocked down by someone saying, you're ugly, you look like a man, you're whatever else it is. Because guess what? People are going to do it no matter what. I guarantee even in the comments of this video, there's going to be people leaving hate comments and stuff. Even, well, maybe with our moderators, there won't be, but there's always going to be haters no matter what you do. And if you're someone that no one ever hates on, you're probably boring.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is that like everybody deals with it. You're not alone. It's not like you're the only one getting hate or other people. It's like, if you're different at all, someone's going to have something to say, and it's their opinion. And you have to learn how to just let it go, because it's just going to keep happening.
And you have to remember, like, even the most beautiful trans women are getting hate online. Like, I think that Gigi Gorgeous is like the most beautiful, successful trans woman on social media right now. And guess what? A lot of her comments are probably like, "You look like a man. You're ugly. You're masculine. You look." You know what I mean? They're just going to be comments like that. But she's not up at night going, "Oh my God, this anonymous user just told me that I'm ugly and that I look like a man." No, because she has this self-confidence in her. Now, granted, it's easy to have that self-confidence when you have millions of dollars and look beautiful.
I will say, though, she probably is every once in a while up late at night thinking about how people have problems with her. I don't think anyone is completely unavailable to hate. Everybody understands what it feels like to be hated. And especially in the trans community, everyone knows what it's like to have somebody see you poorly. And so it's not like Gigi Gorgeous is immune because she has a lot of money and she looks good. She's not different than any of us.
I think the point I'm trying to make, you're absolutely correct, because no one is immune to that. I think it's that she's exercised that muscle, that she's worked out that skill so much that you start to be able to let it fall off like water off a duck's back. Like, you're able to kind of be like, okay, whatever, and keep moving. But you're right. That's not to say that it doesn't continue to affect you. I mean, even myself, like, some days I can look at my comments and just be like, ugh, stupid, like, whatever, and delete some comments. Other days I see a comment that is like just the right amount of mean. And it just like kind of gets under my skin a little bit. But that's the skill, there's going to be haters in person and online. But you have to rely on yourself and also your community, whether it's your family, your friends, or even the online community here at TZone. We're here for you. You're not alone. And there are people all around that are going to experience hate. There are people all over that experience hate. But the most important thing to remember is that you're not alone.
Absolutely. I think some of the times that I see you feeling most like yourself, and I love seeing those moments. And you talk about your wedding. I wasn't there.
Just mine.
No, I was very much so there. Seeing you like after a shower with your hair up in a towel with like a silk robe on and kind of just comfortable, and whether you're reading a book or something along those lines, like I can tell you're just comfortable in your body. And like I think those moments matter a lot. And I think there's a lot of things that you can do. Like I said, the silk robe and like the hair in the towel and taking care of yourself, doing your skincare routine and stuff. I think all that adds to that feeling. But it's those. I love those moments. I love seeing those moments.
Oh, shucks. Thanks. You know what? There are so many ways, even if you're not feeling the most confident in your physical appearance or something, there are so many ways that you can cultivate gender euphoria. In fact, actually on TZone right now, you can go check out, and I'll link it down below as well. I've made not one, but 2 workbooks and working on a 3rd and many more after that about how to cultivate gender euphoria in the things around you. What you just said about having a silk robe on, like something that's, to me, a feminine texture, and doing something that I enjoy that's maybe something I deem as a feminine hobby. So something like making jewelry. That's not necessarily feminine or masculine, but to me, I feel my divine feminine in that. And there are so many ways that are not appearance-based to feel the most authentically you. Another great example of when I feel the most authentically me, outside of feeling beautiful on my wedding day, was when I cuddle with my cats. Both of our cats definitely see me as their mom.
We have a boy cat that is in love with his mom. I'll say his mom being Victoria.
Sweetest. He's just so cuddly.
He's a ham.
Goes right up. But they both definitely see me as their mom. Like,
yeah. I will 100% agree with that.
Like they come to me for cuddles and they come to me for comfort and stuff. And that is very affirming that it doesn't matter what I look like, what I sound like. They see me for my feminine energy. And that's just another great way where I feel so affirmed outside of my appearance, no matter what you look like.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, listener, I really want to know, what are some ways that you cultivate gender euphoria? What are some things that you like to do, whether it's appearance based or with the things around you, to make yourself feel more authentically yourself?
Absolutely. And you can, when you sign into TZone for the first time, when you join with us, there is a channel in there called Gender Euphoria Celebrations. And you are more than welcome to post the things that make you feel euphoric. When you're having moments, ask people how they feel. And I mean, that's part of the benefit of having a community of people, is that you can crowdsource information. Right. So I think it's really important, but we really hope that you join us on TZone. I mean, like we said, we have the biggest global database of local providers, global providers. Wherever you are, you can find resources, great community channels, really strong moderation practices, and, education and live events. And if you like Victoria, which if you're watching this, you probably know who Victoria is, or you're listening to this. Also, if you're listening to this, Victoria is one of the people that's active on the forums, and we'll be doing different live events based on what folks want. And like, for example, we're probably going to start with some
Makeup tutorials,
feminizing makeup, which is a very popular thing that Victoria has been asked about. So we're really hoping that you join us.
All right, listener, thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know any other topics that you want us to cover in the comments down below. Let us know on TZone. We hope to see you over at Transgender Zone very, very soon. And until we see you next time, take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the community.
We'll see you there.